Well, welcome friends to another Exhaust Sports Auto video. I guess in this case it's going to be a comparison with your beloved 2014 LS 460 and the 2015, the evildoer, I guess, the one that you all like to hate apparently, the S550. So I already did a review on actually both of these vehicles, and both of these vehicles are located at Cary Imports. So if you want to take advantage of either of these cars, you may do so, and you may do so with a warranty, because both of these cars have about 150,000 miles on it, but you can still get a warranty on either of these vehicles, which is why I keep coming back to this dealership at Cary Imports. So if you want to take advantage of either a 150k mile, perfectly good, perfect driving S550 or this LS 460, you may do so, but this is going to be the first time that I'm going to be driving this LS. Now, like I mentioned, I already did a review on the LS 460. I'm going to leave both of the review links for the S550 and the 460 down below, because this is mainly going to be just a comparison. If you want to see a more in-depth look at both of these vehicles, please check out those other videos down in the description below. But let's just go ahead and let's just get started with this, because even I'm very curious. It's been over a year since I've driven that 460, the 2013, but again, I've driven every Lexus pretty much. Aside from like an LFA, I've driven them all essentially. I've driven every single iteration of the LS series. I drove the LS 500, I owned a 2008 LS 460, and I drove the LS 400, 430, everything. I've driven them all. So about to see what this bad boy is going to be like with 150k miles, because the other 2013 car I drove was just 30k miles. It's just a nice clean vehicle. So spoiler alert, the S550 was essentially flawless. There was literally no issues with that, but I'm expecting this to be similar as well. Okay, so here's the magic of this. I drove an LS 500H, hated that vehicle. I drove an LS 600 HL, like an 08, and I drove the 2013 LS 460, and I love those. I prefer both of those cars to the new LS 500H I drove. If you're looking at a 07 to 2012 460, if you can kick it up to this level, you'll be a lot happier, because pretty much every issue I had with that vehicle from the 07 to 2012 pretty much got remedied here. So this I have no real complaints about, but this is a comparison with the S-Class, not the previous generation LSs. So how does this fare against that vehicle? Well, here's the thing. When you get up to this level of motoring, these are the top pinnacle automobiles that you can get for the money. That being said, I do think that the S-Class is a better vehicle, but you're not going to have that, right? You're a Lexus whore. You want me to keep praising these vehicles as if they're, handmade by Jesus Christ. And, yes, these are fine vehicles. Don't get me wrong. I've driven all the Lexus cars. I love all the Lexus cars. I got no issues with it. But objectively, a few things that the German vehicles will do slightly better. They either have better chassis or slightly better ride quality, or they're slightly quieter, something along those lines. S-Class is kind of all those things. So there's that. But here's the thing. I don't like the S-Class simply because it's more powerful or whatever. To be honest, I actually kind of prefer the engine in this vehicle more than the S550, despite it being some twin turbocharged, ridiculous 8-cylinder. It's a fine motor, very smooth. I got no issues with that, but there's a little bit more turbo lag and stuff like that. This with the 8-speed automatic that got retuned, I just love this. Of course, these are very plush vehicles. Both vehicles are, geez, that's effortless power for sure. But anyway, both these vehicles not really optioned up to the brim or anything like that with all the options. This doesn't have the air suspension or anything like that. Doesn't even have the Mark Levinson, but you don't really need any of that. This has the all-wheel drive, so this particular vehicle with the 4.6 liter V8 produces about 360 horsepower and about 347 pounds-feet of torque, as opposed to like the 386 horsepower and the 360 some odd pounds-feet of torque that's supposed to make. It's because it's the all-wheel drive model. I guess it just saps some power out of it, I guess. But anyway, both vehicles, the S-Class and this, they're going to lower your blood pressure. They're both some of the best driving vehicles. I've driven a Bentley. I just drove an 08 Continental GTC. Honestly, the ride quality and refinement is very similar to something like this or like an S-Class. So there's that. I mean, these are the top level vehicles. So what is it about the S-Class that I like so much over something like this, or even a 7 Series, which technically handles better than the S-Class? So that vehicle, that car was just, it had like this magical quality to it. The thing with like 7 Series and LS vehicles like this feels like, kind of like a ES or a GS that's just been kind of quieted down and just made a little bit more comfortable and a little bit more refined. Whereas the S-Class feels completely different from any of the other vehicles in the class, or in its own like class, you know, like from a C-Class and E-Class. I mean, it feels completely different from those vehicles, and it just has like its own little magic quality. Like, for instance, when you take corners in the S-Class, it kind of has like that seat that kind of hugs you in. Like, it's got those active bolsters that keep you in place as you make those turns. So both cars, like this and the S-Class, have like a similar chassis, you know, slightly sloppy little chassis. In fact, I kind of think that this has a slightly better handling dynamic. That might not be the case, but I don't know. They're very similar. This doesn't have those seats, you know, it's lacking a few of those features. A few of those features are probably what you're thinking are going to break, and you might be right. You know, both these vehicles get a warranty. So that's the thing. You know, a lot of you people like to praise Lexus quality and Lexus reliability. Well, here's the thing. I had to get rid of my LS because, you know, brake actuator was going to go wrong. It's going to cost me like, what, $3-4 grand. So, you know, yeah, sure, it's reliable, but parts are still a fortune, which is still why you have to get a warranty. Now, you get a warranty, you'll be happy. And let me tell you, there's more of a rushing sensation when I accelerate in the LS than I do in the S-Class, despite it having like 445 horsepower and like 516 pounds-feet of torque. Honestly, I like the acceleration surge that I get in this more than I like it in the S-Class. You know, there's a lot more turbo lag with the S-Class. This, naturally aspirated, what a gem. It sounds like nothing on paper. Like, it doesn't sound like a whole lot, like 360 horsepower or whatever, but let me tell you, those spec sheets, those numbers, they mean absolutely nothing to me. I really love the surge and the acceleration I get from this vehicle. It weighs about 4,400 pounds, 4,300 pounds with the all-wheel drive. I mean, it's about the same as the S-Class. As you know, it weighs about 300 pounds less than the S-Class because this is not the extended wheelbase. But this is satisfying. This is quiet, but not as quiet as the S-Class. This has a little bit more wind noise than the S550 does, but for the most part, this is about as good as you need it to be. This engine is a lot more charismatic. I like the steering feel a little bit more in the S550 because this has like a resistance, I suppose, to the steering wheel as opposed to the S550. S550 was like very fluid. You know, you could kind of like whip it with the pinky if you wanted to. This, you know, a little bit more resistance. You know, I guess they're trying to like, you know, mimic it, trying to be a little sporty, but I like this chassis. I like the dynamics. I like the way it, you know, handles and all that good stuff. I really like this car. I like the 7-seaters. I like every vehicle in this class, but there's just something, that magical quality about the S-Class. Yes, I get it has air suspension, all that good stuff. Yeah, I've driven this vehicle with the air suspension as well, but honestly, when I owned my 460, the 08, these vehicles are some of the most comfortable cars without air suspension. So that's, if you don't want to deal with air suspension, don't worry about any of that, because the comfort of this is sensational. The 8-speed transmission has been tuned to perfection in this. There's no like weird, you know, rev hangingness or anything like that. It's a nice refined 8-speed, kicks down when you need it to. There's like this, you know, sport mode crap in this vehicle. It doesn't quite have that wallowy sensation from the S-Class, which is why I kind of like this driving wise a little bit more. It doesn't handle like a 7 Series, but this has a good kind of planted, pinned down feeling. There's no wallowiness, which the previous generation LS has had. This, far more pinned down. I really like it. Are you going to be satisfied owning this? Hell yeah, you are. This is still one of the best cars ever made. You know what I'm saying? So it's a LS, you know, double pane glass, all that good stuff. Let's see, check out that handling here. Yeah, this, I feel like it has a better handling dynamic. Something about the suspension in this or something, the way it's tuned. I like it a lot more. Yeah, brakes. There's a lot more like confidence driving this. Like, you can kind of push it more if you want to. If you want to be a pimp and really kind of whip it around a little bit, you really can a little bit more in this. But the S-Class doesn't promote that type of driving at all. It's very like kind of subdued. You just want to chill in it. You don't want to do anything crazy with it. So the lack of at-limit handling in the S-Class does not bother me. So because it's not a factor for me, I still kind of prefer that a little bit more. It's very nuanced kind of BS things. You know, if you love Lexus, if you jack off to Lexus, if you got posters of this thing, if you got like a, you know, wallpaper of this thing on your phone, just get it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about the S-Class slightly having a better ride or slightly being quieter. It's not a big deal. You know, it's kind of just little nuanced things. All these cars are at the top. If you like the 7 Series, go get that, again, with a warranty. So this interior cabin, the only like thing where it kind of sucks compared to the S-Class is the interior, kind of like the seats here, the leather seats, they've wrinkled a lot more than in the S-Class. So that's the only sucky thing I've noticed about it. There's a lot of wrinkling going on here, but for the most part, it's aged pretty well. Slightly tighter build quality, I feel like, in this. They're both about the same, I guess. They're both aged really well. But yeah, I like the layout in this. It looks very fancy and very kind of Japanese. It's very cool. I like the interior of this. You know, the steering wheel has some wear on it as well. Maybe that'll buff out, I don't know. But again, doesn't have nearly as many features, but this infotainment works just fine, I guess. Again, just use it while you're parked, though. That's the only thing. Gauge cluster, very simple. One-touch auto, windows, all that good stuff. Space in the rear is not even something you should be remotely worried about in this, despite the S-Class being about 5 inches longer, because there is no short wheelbase or a long wheelbase S-Class. They only make the S550 in a long wheelbase. So there's that, and you can add 5 extra inches to the LS if you wanted to, but this is the regular wheelbase, and honestly this has literally as much rear space as the S550 does, so there's that. I've been in the LS 600 HL, and yeah, that's pretty gargantuan amounts of space, but you don't need that much. This is good enough. Getting in and out is very easy, very plush seats. You don't have to worry about that. I like the wood in this. The wood is aged flawlessly. There's no issues with the wood. It's so solid, so nice. You have one peasant blocker for the rear sunshade. That's about it. You have one sunroof, no panoramics, nothing like that. There's not as much craziness going on with this like there is with the S550. Even though the S550 is not loaded to the brim either, but there is no executive seating package in either of these cars. You do have heated seats in the back, and that's about it. Trunk is gargantuan, one of the largest trunks, and you have a spare tire in the back. I don't think the S-Class had that. Heated steering wheel, heated seats, cooled seats in the front, all that good stuff. So yeah, it's still got some practical features that you would want in a vehicle. Nice backup camera, all that good stuff. Very nice, very good little vehicle. So let's go ahead, let's hop into the S-Class and see what's different about that. Okay, so here we are in the S550. So let's just take this bad boy out for a spin now. And already, you know, I'm kind of giggling when I'm in here. You know what I'm saying? It's just a little bit nicer. You know what I'm saying? Actually, for once, I think the Benz actually aged a little bit better than the Lexus did. See, already I'm busting this U-turn. It busts tighter U-turns than the Lexus does. Actually, so did the ML, like that 2012 I just drove. It just busted really tight turns right there. And also, you know, as I'm going through those turns, you know, the way that this seat is kind of, you know, those active bolsters, it's nice. You know, it's like the little things that add up in a luxury car. And that's what I'm saying. This feels like a top shelf automobile, whereas that LS just feels like a nice car. This feels like it's worth 150 racks, you know what I'm saying? That's kind of what the price is. You know, these are like damn near double the price of the LS cars. So, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, Johnny Sack owned this. You know, Chrissy owned the LS 400. You know, so you see the difference there? Johnny's an underboss. Chrissy, he's not even like, he's a nobody. You know, even Brendan Fallone had a better reputation than Chrissy did. He was an associate, a soldier. They painted him out to be like John Gotti. But Chrissy's playing with the shine box. You know, Johnny's being a big boss in the S-Class, and like one of you guys mentioned, you know, you can see Johnny, you know, modern day Johnny kind of yelling into the Bluetooth, you know, like, what is this, the UN or whatever? If you get those references, put them down in the comment section below. And there's a good old shine box in the trunk. I'm about to show you that in a bit. It's a rather loud one, but it does exist. It's in the trunk. I'll show you that in a bit. Anyway, enough of that. On to this review. So, you know, comparing this to the LS, you know, again, if people want like an undisputed best, well, this is kind of that, but it's just like not necessarily at the same time. You know, if you want the pinnacle of comfort and quietness, this is that. The S550, this W222 vehicle is that. But again, with the warranty, again, that's why I came to this dealership. You can buy either one of these vehicles with the warranty. Can't stress that enough to you. But let me tell you, okay, you know, we joke around about the reliability of these cars. Okay, here's a joke for you. In the comment section, one of you guys posted this. There's a guy in a Mercedes forum. He bought a 2014, you know, W222 S550, brand new, okay? Brand new, 0 miles. Okay, in 6 years, he put on about 215,000 miles, okay? There's a little bit of a lag, a little bit of delay with this thing. It doesn't feel that fast either. LS feel a little bit faster. But anyway, so this guy put like 215,000 miles in 6 years. He never had a single issue with this vehicle, okay? And he was so fond of his ownership experience, he actually went out and bought another S560, a brand new 2020 S560, because he loved the ownership experience so much. So I don't know, guys. Maybe these cars hold up a little bit better than you think. I don't know. Like, still get it with a warranty, but I'm just saying though, like, these seem to not be as bad as people think. Driving this car, okay, like I mentioned, I do kind of like the motor and the feel of sensation better in the LS 460, because there is a sensation. In this, there is no sensations. You feel the nose kind of pick up a bit, but not too much. I mean, it's like it's a very refined experience. It's just kind of, it's like driving through butter. The steering, everything about it, you know, the ride quality, everything has a little bit more of a smoother feel compared to the other vehicles in the class. Now, that might be due to the air suspension, but here's the thing. I drove the 460 with the air suspension, and it rode similar to this, but I would say this is even a couple notches still above. And here's the other thing. The steering is just so milky, buttery smooth. I really love this a lot, dude. Plus, let's be honest here, you look more of a pimp in this than you do in the LS. You know, Lexus is a fine vehicle. It's very prestigious, don't get me wrong, but let's be honest, this is that next level. This is right behind the Bentleys and the Rollses and stuff like that. Speaking of Bentley, like I mentioned before, I already drove a Bentley. It was an 08 Continental GTC. It rode a lot like this, but in fact, I would say, I drove the convertible, but honestly, I think this is actually a little bit quieter than the Bentley, but that makes sense. I didn't drive a coupe. It was the convertible version, so there's that. But like I keep iterating, these are all these cars are like all the best vehicles in the world. You're gonna be satisfied owning any of these, so don't worry about that. But if I'm gonna be honest, yes, I do kind of prefer this a little bit more. Yeah, this the handling is a little bit sloppier at the limit. Those seats make up for it, so I don't really care. But anyway, when I get into a luxury car, okay, like a flagship luxury car, this is how I picture and imagine it to drive. This is kind of the epitome. This is kind of why these are the more sought after luxury cars. Now, but here's the thing though. I've driven the previous generation S-Class, a complete piece of garbage compared to this. Okay, that had about 120k miles on it. This is way better driving experience than that. This is far smoother, far more refined, far more everything than that car. So keep that in mind. This is it right here. This is actually, honestly, the only Benz I truly care about. That's not true. I care about some other Benzes, like that ML I drove. That was amazing. But anyway, when we're talking about flagships, it's kind of the best to me. I mean, will I buy an LS? Will I be happy with it? Again, like I keep saying to you 1,000 million times, I'm really just keep reiterating myself, because there's so many Lexus people who like to jack off to Lexus, who just, they sleep with their Lexus cars, it feels like. I just want to keep reiterating to you people, yes, you made a good choice. You made the right choice. Those are fine cars. Nothing wrong with it. You know, I get it. There's a peace of mind when owning a Lexus product or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Even with the warranty, whatever. If you want me to be objective, if you want me to just give you one answer, this is better. There you go. I mean, this is like fast, but this really does not even let you know. This is even more kind of held back than the LS is. Like, this really hides everything from you, dude. Like, this has a 7-speed transmission. I don't even know if this thing has a transmission. You know, the way it shifts, you don't even notice it. You know what I'm saying? This is one of the softest shifting cars ever. It must be softer still than the Bentley, because at least in the Bentley, I notice the shifts. This, I don't notice anything, dude. So it's very refined. Later, they went to a 9-speed, but this already has like a delay. So, you know, this transmission is probably what I would prefer. But again, I would have to drive a 9-speed version to really tell you the difference. But here, you know, this is where we get to the handling, and I kind of prefer the LS's handling to this, as well as the 7 Series and many other vehicles. So there you go. Just throw this thing in there. This jerk off is really kind of neutering the driving experience. Yeah, the body is a lot more sloppy in this than it is in the LS and pretty much all the other big body cars. This is tuned 100,000% for comfort. Now, again, there is AMG versions, of course. I've not driven an S63 or S65 AMG, but I'm sure those have more tighter, more pinned down body. Honestly, this is good enough for me. This is kind of my choice. I mean, this has like that Bentley type quality to it. You know what I'm saying? This is pretty much all you need. I just went over a freaking horrible bump right there, dude. This soaks up bumps the best. I've never seen a car soaking up bumps better than this, dude. This has been amazing. I love it. Appreciate it for what it is. Again, buy anything A8, 7 Series, LS, you'll be happy with any of them. Don't worry about it. It's just, this is kind of the best or nothing, if you will. So there you go. Have fun with that. Talk about the interior briefly, I suppose. Like I mentioned, I did like the LS interior. It had a very kind of cool Japanese vibe and feel to it, but this, after I'm kind of in this is nice too. Don't get me wrong. I like the wood. The wood in both these vehicles, they've aged really well. However, there's a little bit more of a fading with the wood on this. I don't know if that's by design or what, but like I think the wood kind of aged slightly better in the LS, but negligible stuff here. Like I mentioned, only one creak and rattle from the door here, but that's literally it. Both these vehicles feel bank vault, like high quality, like no issues. This has far more features. The screens have a far more quality appearance to it. You can tell this is that next generation infotainment compared to that LS over there. I don't mind. I don't really care much about infotainments, but when you look at this one in particular, you're like, this is really nice. This is really crispy, high quality. I really appreciate it. So there is that. Now, the steering wheel, everything about it's got a nice kind of cool feel to it. So there's that. I like the way it's designed. You know, both of them have like this kind of wooden steering wheel, but I kind of like this two-spoke thing. It's very cool. It's very nice. You know, very Mercedes-like. It's very cool. Overall design is very clean, very sleek. I think people can go either way about it. I really like this because the climate control is completely separated from the screen in the LS. So in this, you have to look up at the screen for the climate control. So that's a negative thing. I don't really like much about this, but both of them have like a double pane glass, one touch auto. I feel like the switch gears and stuff are a little bit nicer, a little bit more metal buttons and switches going on here. You know, heated and cooled seats like in this one as well, three-way memory. Burmeister sound system definitely sounds better in this, but there's a Burmeister that's on top of this where like the tweeters kind of like twirl out and stuff. This doesn't have that. But that one doesn't have the ML, so this is kind of more so in line with the ML speaker system in a Lexus is what this Burmeister sounds like. But, you know, there's that. But there is a level above this, so that's probably going to be amazing, of course. And it's got the cologne that gets sprayed at your face. Back seat room is great. Oh, by the way, the seats, they've aged way better than it did in the LS. However, there's like this little shit mark on the seat there. I don't know what that's all about, little green thing. I don't know what that is, but whatever. As a whole, this is better than the LS. Yeah, it's just a stupid wood in the LS is a little bit better, but otherwise, this is pretty much better in every single way. Sorry I had to say that, but hey, you got to hear, you know, grow up, you know, stop being little kids. You know what I'm saying? Grow up, listen to the facts. There you go. Again, far more tech, all the, you know, sensors, the beeps, the safety tech, the, you know, night visions, the everything. You know, there's a lot more going on here. Rear seats, it's about the same level of space as it is in the LS, so there's that. Trunk space, you know, it's got a little thing, this little basket that kind of pops out. You kind of put your hand in, you kind of make it, yeah, it's got that whole thing going on. It's a very nice thing. You put your groceries in there. Very smart, intuitive design. I really like that, but it's loud as hell, dude. Like when you make it extended, it's so freaking loud. I don't know what's up with that. It's a very loud shine box, so I don't know what's going on with that. These are all Sopranos jokes, if you can't tell. Anyway, I got the big panoramic sunroof, but anyway, space is about the same in both vehicles. The trunk, everything, all about the same. Very large vehicles, you shouldn't have any issues there. I think the door pocket space is superior in the LS. That's about it. Overall, this is the better car. Deal with it. If that's not what you want to hear, well, so be it. They both have all-wheel drive. There's that. Both these vehicles are located at Cary Imports. Take advantage of them with a warranty. Also, if you want, you can sell these vehicles under consignment if you want to. It's literally the best way to sell a vehicle, so there is that. So with that, there you go. What do you want me to say? You know, I'm unbiased. I'm not a Lexus whore. I'm not paid by Lexus. I'm not team Lexus or whatever. Like I'm objective. Yes, I own an LC500, but that's a bespoke vehicle all to itself. Totally different from anything else that they do. If Jaguar made that exact same car, or if BMW made that car, then I would own it. You know, I don't care who makes the vehicle. It's just whatever vehicle is the best. I'm gonna say it. It is what it is. You know, I gave you in-depth looks at the quality of the driving experience in both the vehicles. Piece it together, put it together, there you go. But again, choose whichever one you like the looks of the more, or whichever brand you like more. If you like the Audi more, just go get that. You know, whatever you like, the, you know, badge wise, just go get that. But all these vehicles are the best. It's just that the S-Class is a little bit better, that's all. So take advantage of either of these vehicles with the warranty. I'm done talking. There's that. So goodbye. Thank you for watching.